We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
All right, Tim. Tim's theater area is 18 by 22, but it's an open floor plan with 10-foot openings on the right to the kitchen and dining area. The living room theater area is carpeted, but the kitchen and dining room are hardwood. There are windows on the left and the fireplace at the front on the right. So, at the moment, he's using a single SVS PB1000, which is obviously probably inadequate for this room. Even though it's a small sub for his volume of air, it's making things rattle. The windows only rattle occasionally at very certain frequencies, so not really a problem, but the fireplace rattles all the time, as does a picture frame that's mounted on the right side wall. He had some cheap foam bass traps that he tried putting in the corners near the fireplace in that picture, but didn't do anything as far as the rattles go. And aesthetics limit what he can do in terms of adding more room treatment, so what can he do that will actually alleviate these rattling problems? Dude, you could put all of the insulation in the world in this room and it's not going to stop those rattles. Okay, that's not
it's not the sound waves moving through the air that are rattling that picture and that fireplace. Well, I mean,
it is literally the sound waves moving through the air. It's just the frequencies. It is like a sympathetic vibration. You know, they always talk about the movies.
But if it's rattling all the time, it's also probably something else I'm going to mention in a moment. So
right, which is going to be structural. But so I mean, what you're going to have to do with the picture on the wall, most likely, you're going to need to find out how it's rattling and then damp that part. Meaning you're going to put something sticky or rubbery there to stop the noise from happening. And you're not going to stop it from rattling. You're going to stop it from making noise. The
picture frame should be very solvable. Some blue tack, sometimes called museum putty or plumber's tape, like Tom likes to recommend, which is just rubbery, foamy tape that is squishy. Yep. So just putting some kind of squishy thing behind the picture frame is how to solve that one.
Now, the fireplace rattling all the time is probably structural. So if you do not have your... it depends on what part's rattling, too. It could be he has like a metal grate in front of it that's rattling, in which case it's not structural. But or maybe not solely structural. But if there's something in there that's rattling, which could be like the flue, or whatever, the little chain that's hanging down there, in which case you're going to want to damp the connection between your subwoofer and the floor. So... get yourself one of the, some of the SVS sound path isolation feet.
I mean, I do the cheap and free experiment before even doing that, which is fold up a big thick blanket.
Yep.
Put it under your sub. If your sub has feet on it, just turn your sub sideways, lay it on its side. It'll still play exactly the same. So that's the cheap and free experiment that you can do to see if decoupling your sub from the floor will be effective. Because it might be, but it also might not. But that's certainly worth the experiment to try out.
Right. That's,
And if it is effective, then you get something that looks prettier.
Yeah, that's right. But if it's not that, that doesn't seem to help, then you're going to have to track down once again what is actually rattling and try to stop it from doing so, because it's not going to stop moving. You got to stop it from making noise. So you need to figure out what that is. But it's probably structural. If it's rattling all the time at all the frequencies.
At all the frequencies, like the windows are 100% resonant frequency of the window, and you can you can damp the window as much as possible.
Good luck.
But
good luck with that.
I mean, they're at those frequencies. They're going to resonate. When those frequencies plays, those windows are going to resonate. But like you said, it's very occasional and not really a problem. These other things are rattling all the time. That makes me think it's structural. So getting the subwoofer decoupled, experiment. If that helps, great. And then other than that, you have to damp the rattling things themselves. No amount of absorption panels are going to help you here. That isn't the cause of this.
No. So he'd love to upgrade to a larger 15-inch subwoofer, but is he correct that a higher output sub will probably make his rattling issues even worse? only if you turn that subwoofer louder than your current subwoofer is. They're not going to. I mean, you could find new things that rattle.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're rattling at frequencies that just weren't being excited by this other subwoofer. So I don't understand why 15 inches is specifically what he's looking for, but I guess there's maybe one out there that he wants. But, if you have a 15-inch driver in a subwoofer box and you put a 40-watt amp with it, you won't be rattling nothing. You won't even rattle the sub, which will be trying to make movement and instead will just be killing your little 40-watt amp. So just having the 15-inch driver is not going to do much. But if you don't turn it up any louder, it shouldn't rattle it anymore. But the idea,
if it is structural and the new one is like more stable,
more
or
inert, yeah,
has better damped feet already built in, it might actually be better than the current situation.
Yeah, and if you've got spikes on your subwoofer,
well, it's a PB1000, so I don't think that comes
right.
with spikes.
Right,
it should be just the flat feet.
Right. But in general, if you've got spikes in your subwoofer and you're listening to this podcast, you should take them off right now and go put something rubber on them. Just in general. His current AV receiver has LSC Multi-QXT. Would upgrade to a model with Multi-QXT32 and Sub-EQHT help as far as the rattles go? Nope.
The Odyssey LFC, low frequency containment.
That might.
But
yeah.
all that does is attenuate the bass. All it does is turn it down.
You could do that yourself.
You could do that yourself. So, and you already know that turning it down eventually will stop it happening. So, electronic equalization of the bass is not really going to solve this issue for you, unfortunately.
So his current receiver can't pass through HDR of any kind. He uses his NVIDIA Shield a lot, and it can send HDR10 as well as lossless audio. So if he connects the Shield to his AV receiver, he loses HDR. If he connects it directly to his TV, he loses the lossless audio. Clearly, a new receiver could solve this problem, but that's a big expenditure, and unless he can justify it with a higher level of Odyssey being super worthwhile, i.e. it would fix this rattling problem. Sorry,
Which
dude.
it won't.
It's going to be a tough sell. Sorry, dude. He's thinking about buying an Oppo Ultra HD Blu-ray player. Those have an HDMI input and two HDMI outputs. Could he plug his NVIDIA Shield into the Oppo and then use the Oppo's two HDMI outputs to send HDR video to his TV and lossless audio to his existing receiver that way? Nope. Okay, let me answer the question before you answer the question.
Sorry.
The disc that you put into the Oppo will send HDR and everything to the projector or whatever, the display, and the lossless audio. But when you plug something into the back, I don't think it could pass through I don't even know if it does 4K, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't do HDR at all through the back one. Is that right?
You are correct.
Okay,
yes. If you play an actual disc in the Oppo, what you want to do will work, but plugging the NVIDIA Shield into the Oppo's HDMI input, because it does have one, but plugging it into that won't let you do what you want to do. It will not pass HDR, so it's no better than your existing AV receiver, and I don't believe it even separates the audio and video when you're using the HDMI input. Wow. That is not the solution. Now, that is a $550 Blu-ray player.
You can get a new receiver for $550.
You sure can. Now, I don't know if you want to go to 9 or 11 speaker Atmos. I mean, hey, the X4300H is out there for $700, so that's accessories for less. That might be. But if you're going to stop at 7 speakers or 5 speakers, the X3300W is there for $500 at accessories for less. So if you were willing to spend $550 on a Blu-ray player, why not spend $500 on a new AV receiver that'll let you do what you want to do? Now, that would mean you then don't have that money available for the Oppo, but you could maybe get the LG, the UP970 Ultra HD Blu-ray player, which I will admit is not as fancy and nice. It's not as heavy. It doesn't feel as sturdy, but it still plays Dolby Vision. It's the only other one you can get right now that plays Dolby Vision right now. So you could save some money there, get yourself an X3300W, you'd barely be spending any more money, and you can do everything you want to do.
And the other options are going to be stopgap anyways. So if you were like, I really don't want to spend that much money right now, I don't want to get a new receiver right now, you're like, okay, well, you could get a Switch. You know, you could get like HD Furies or one of those things that will split it out for you and do all that stuff. But you're going to end up spending a bunch of money on that anyways. And it's going to be something you will not be able to use in the future once you upgrade your receiver, which you will inevitably do. So might as well just do the receiver, or just wait until you're ready to do the receiver.
And if you decouple your sub and put some plumber's tape behind the picture and figure out what's rattling in the fireplace and put some plumber's tape on that stuff too, then you can tell whoever it is who's saying this is too much money to spend on a receiver that it was XT32 that did it. That'll be a lie, but you can sell it that way.
I don't understand how I get the kind of like, well, I don't know if that's a good idea when I suggest something like that, but you suggested it sounds like, oh, well, it's pretty reasonable. He's Canadian. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.